Hey, gun people. Well, I said I'd go over this indictment here. I don't know how much I can get out of this. They're not giving a whole bunch of information. Let's see. The grand jury, County, New York, has indicted and accused defendant of falsifying business records in the first degree. So this is Penal Law 175.10, committed as follows. The defendant in the County of New York, so that gives New York jurisdiction, and elsewhere, I don't understand that, on February 14th, 2017, with the intent to defraud. So when you use terms like with the intent, that means this is a specific intent crime. There's general or implied intent, and then there's specific intent. Specific intent is harder to prove because you have to show and prove that the person intended to do this. This wasn't an accident. Okay? So specific intent crimes usually require more proof. So they're saying he intended to defraud and intent to commit other crimes and aid and conceal the commission, therefore made and caused a false entry. Man, it sounds a big deal for a false entry in a business record. To wit, for example, an invoice from Michael Cohen, the disgraced lawyer that was convicted of lying and perjury and gave multiple conflicting statements, is the star witness to this. It's just disgusting. Make has a record of Donald Trump revocable trust and kept and maintained by the Trump organization. Second count, 175.10. This is 175.10. Let's see what 175.10 is of the Penal Code. So according to this from Westlaw, a person is guilty of falsifying business records in the first degree when he commits the crime of falsifying business records in the second degree, and when his intent to defraud includes an intent to commit another crime, which we're not being told, or to aid or conceal the commission thereof. So it sounds like there's a preceding crime that you have to have in order to get first degree, in order after committing the second degree, but we don't know what the other crime is. And normally crimes like this are somehow written to where the person has something to gain. So if I defraud you and I falsify a business record and say, you only gave me $100 when you gave me $200, and then I took the other $100, that means I'm gaining something. It's somehow theft. So I'm committing theft maybe for the preceding crime, and then I concealed it by doing this false record. They're not saying what the other crime is, and the DA is like, well, I don't have to say that. I can just say there was another crime. It's absolutely ridiculous. So here's the second count. Indicted further, first degree violation 175. Defendant in New York County, whereas on February 14th, with the intent to defraud. So the first one was on February 14th. The second one's on February 14th. The third one's on February 14th. This one's on February 14th. This one's on March 16th. Okay, so it does change. I thought it was all going with one. So let's see the second count here. February 14th, with the intent to defraud, intent to commit another crime, conceal, aid. Sounds like the same thing. To wit, an entry and a detailed general ledger for Donald Trump revocable trust bearing voucher number 82475, kept and maintained by the Trump organization. Now, when you're falsifying business records, not only do you have to prove that the person falsified it, you got to prove that Trump knew. This is maintained by the Trump Revocable Trust to make it to where Trump either directed or knew this or caused this. That's another hurdle that has to be proven in court. Third count, grand jury, February 14th, with intent to defraud, commission of a crime, blah, blah, has wit an entry in the ledger bearing voucher number 842460. This was 842457. So they went down the voucher somehow. Count 3, to wit, Donald Trump revocable trust check and check stub dated 4/17. This is probably where he paid the money either to his lawyer or to Stormy Daniels. Business records 17510, March 16th. The fraud caused a false entry records with the enterprise to wit an invoice for Michael Cohen, again, the star perjury witness. 6 count. Man, this just seems very, very kind of throwing mud on a wall. I'll just throw everything. Defendant, whereas March 17th, with the intent, false entry to wit, detailed ledger, voucher number 46907. So it appears this is all from one voucher. 7th count, March 17th, to wit, Donald Trump, revocable trust, check stub. 8th count. So they're just adding for every... I could see 1 count and all these are acts, but he's taking each act he can. I'm surprised he's not charging him with each pen that he used to write each one, because he used a different pen. Therefore, that's a further conspiracy, because he got rid of the first pen that was signed and that was written in the ledger. Therefore, each pen he used is another count we can charge him with. And if he used a different sheet of paper to write down the check number stub, that's another count. And then if he changed a location and he put it in a different filing cabinet, that's another count. That appears on what's going on here. But let's see. April 13th, to wit, business records, Michael Cohen, yep. 9th count, June 19th, to wit, entry, ledger, 8-7, kept and maintained. All these are is little entries. Each entry, to wit, check number, to wit, May 27th, invoice, Donald Trump, Michael Cohen, star perjury witness. 12th count, May 22nd, detailed ledger, voucher number. That's all this is. He's changing a voucher number and everything else is the same. 14th count, business records, invoice, Michael Cohen, star perjury witness. When your whole case depends on a star witness that's already been convicted of perjury, perjury is a very hard crime to convict. It is very hard to get convicted of perjury. About the only way is you have to lie under oath and then later admit that you knew you were lying. That's about the only way to get perjury. If you deny, you can. That's why attorneys lie all the time and they go, I have no recollection. You can't be convicted of perjury if you have no recollection of the lie. You cannot be convicted, which is why the term, I have no recollection. That doesn't ring a bell. I don't remember that. I have no recollection. Those are all key terms. I talk about Jeff Reivew, that dirty DA. He said that like 30 or 60 times during his deposition on my case. And he just kept looking down. I have no recollection. Showed him an email that he replied to. And he had him read it and says, does that refresh your recollection? And he says, no, I have no recollection of this email. I have no recollection of responding to this email. And I have no recollection of this incident. Therefore, you can't charge him with perjury. To wit, Donald Trump, check number. And you can just go down. To wit, dated entry, Michael Cohen. To wit, voucher number. To wit, check number, bearing. To wit, invoice, Michael Cohen. To wit, voucher number. What a freaking cheap ass. This has no facts, no nothing. We're just talking, oh yeah, check and voucher number. We found a check and a voucher number. Let's charge him. Out freaking rages. False entry, but to wit, Michael Cohen. Voucher number. Wow. Business enterprise, check stub. To wit, invoice, mark, Donald Trump. 27th count. Jesus Christ. Voucher number. 28th count. Check number. 29th count. Enterprise. Michael Cohen. Voucher number. Bearing check number. Dude, do you know how much investigative cost it took to go through all this and to find this? I mean, the amount of money that they're spending on this is way into the several $million. And they're probably going to get matching federal funds. Most counties, if your prosecution goes over $1 million, you can get the federal government to pay for the entire prosecution. So it would not surprise me, and I wish somebody would dig into this, that this is going to be refunded, and the more money they spend, the more money they get from the federal government, which in my book is a bigger fraud than this case. But I digress. What I know, 23 count voucher number. There's really nothing to read or comment on here. I mean, it's just Fat Albert Bragg. I'm sorry, Alvin L. Bragg, Jr. Damn, Junior. What a disgrace. Indictment, falsifying records. Okay. Well, I'll put a link in the description. Not a lot to go over. Sorry, I can't comment when there's no evidence or no testimony or no witnesses or no nothing but voucher number so-and-so. So we'll wait for more detailed information. I'm going to make a playlist, the indictment of President Trump. So this will go on the playlist. My live the other day where I was covering it will go on the playlist. And so if you click for notifications when I add to that new playlist, you'll see when I put new stuff up here. All right, we'll end that there.